Sonic Team realized that they have been kind of neglectful to the franchise they created that's in their name, that being Sonic himself. And since a lot of Japanese players in Japan didn't even really know Sonic that well, because Sonic wasn't that popular in Japan, believe it or not. I know it's kind of hard to believe because Sonic's the best characters of all time, but in Japan he isn't that popular as compared to everyone else. So they're like, hey, let's make this game that compiles our previous games on the Sega Saturn so people can play all of them and remaster them a little bit. And that game being Sonic Jam. But when people think about Sonic Jam, they're not really thinking about the fact that it has the classic Sonic games on it. They're thinking about this unique mode they implemented called Sonic World, which allows you to play as a 3D Sonic in a 3D environment, which was super cool at the time, 1997. We didn't really get this from any other Sonic game, unless you count Sonic R, which actually came after this game. So this was super brand new and super unique. As a matter of fact, this was what was going to come in the next year, that being Sonic Adventure, because what you're looking at right now is, in fact, the beta of Sonic Adventure. Before we get into the game, let's talk about the box art, because this will be very short. There's only 3 different box arts, and they're mostly the same. Here's the American box art featuring 2D art of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles with Sonic Jam. I guess it's called Jam because it's jam-packed into one CD. 4 Sonic classics and 1 Jammin' CD. The European version is mostly the same. They flipped Knuckles and Tails. There's no more ring, and the background is a kind of a Green Hill Zone aesthetic. So it's slightly different, but it's mostly the same. The Japanese version is obviously the best. It has the art style of the old Sonic box arts with the pop art and aesthetic that's actually been used in a lot of Sonic games afterwards when they mostly Sonic Generations brought this aesthetic back. It's a really cool aesthetic, all the shapes, stars, and circles. And it's pretty cool because it is a compilation of the first classic Sonic game, so it makes sense to do it this way. Sonic Jam's a pretty cool game, though. Unfortunately, since my Saturn emulator kind of sucks, the footage is kind of crappy, but I was able to get to run, which is good for me. Anyways, you can see the 3D Sonic World, what we're going to mostly be talking about today, since it's the most interesting thing in the game. It has all the unique elements, and including all the unique galleries and stuff that you can view is on through the Sonic World. Start, you'll give them the option of choosing the main games or the Sonic World. We're going to do Sonic World because that's the most interesting thing about this game, obviously. And starting up, Sonic falls from the sky, and we end up in a unique Green Hill Zone environment, which is pretty small, but it has a bunch of little hubs you can choose. You can hop on that little umbrella-esque thing from Resident Evil there, do little challenges. The challenges aren't very interesting, to be honest. Basically, collect the rings, hit the goalposts that are in here, and yeah, that's basically all there is here. There's also a little middle section where you have to jump up and platform. Now, the controls actually feel pretty good. Like, wow, why couldn't Sonic Extreme be this? Well, the Sonic Extreme developers weren't that great at developing 3D games. But the Sonic team, they already had experience with 3D games, doing Nights into Dreams, which was kind of a 2.5D game. But overall, yeah, the game feels, even though my emulator kind of sucks ass, like I said, the only emulator can really get it worked for Sega Saturn being Yaboose. I don't even know, sucks. It's terrible. That's all I can say. There needs to be better Sega Saturn emulators, because our other one is, MAME, but I can't get MAME to work. I can't figure that shit out. So yeah, this is the game. Sonic can't spin dash, he just walks around, runs around, and jumps. Maybe he can't spin dash, but like I said, getting controls to work on this thing was a nightmare, and I haven't seen any footage of him spin dashing. Sonic controls pretty smoothly and fluently. It's very similar to Sonic Adventure. Not quite, though. After all, like I said, this was a tech demo for Sonic Adventure. Sonic Adventure was being made for the Sega Saturn for a very short time until Sega's like, we're making a Dreamcast, so you gotta flip that over. So they've quickly swapped that over to the Dreamcast. But before they did that, they made this little tech demo for Sonic Jam, which is pretty neat and cool. Anyway, there's a bunch of little buildings here that we can go into. Like, for example, the Hall of Fame. Let's go in. The Hall of Fame basically just gives a little history rundown for each year. Mostly the games, but also some weird promotional stuff that happened in each thing. You can even zoom in and zoom out on some weird things, like this piece of artwork here. This stuff's pretty cool, especially during the times of pre-internet. When I say pre-internet, I mean beta internet, because the internet did exist at this time, but it wasn't that good, and wikis didn't really exist. Overall, this was really cool, because sometimes just seeing stuff in a nice aesthetic, it gives you more information than just looking at a wiki page sometimes. It's nice and easier to digest. I don't know what it is about this stuff. It also plays some pretty cool iconic music that will be reused in the later games. Mostly Mega Collection and Classic Collection reuses the music from this game, in case you're wondering. But overall, there's a lot of cool stuff. There's like weird promotions, games that you might not even heard of at the time, alternate box arts, and all that good stuff. Anyway, towards the main area, we find this character hub. On the left side, we have a villain slash Eggman house, which goes through bios of all the badniks from each of the Sonic games, including Eggman's bio himself. He never gives up, and he acts like a child, apparently. And you see the badniks from all the Sonic games. Unfortunately, I didn't get the L and R button to work to scroll through them, but since I've been over all the badniks in the previous games, it's not a big deal. If you want to know more about that, like I said, watch the videos on my Sonic 1, 2, 3, and CD. And of course, on the right side, we have the character house, which gives us the main characters, including Sonic the Hedgehog. He doesn't like the word move. He doesn't like the word slow, apparently. But yeah, all this stuff is pretty common now. But back in the day, it was pretty cool. Like you can click on Knuckles here. I don't know why I'm not clicking on Knuckles, but yeah. Anyway, for some reason I didn't click on Knuckles, but what it would have said is that Knuckles is shy around women, which is actually how I think Rouge the Bat was created, honestly. But anyway, we'll get to that. There's also the music shop, which isn't a shop at all, just how you play music. You can hear all the music from Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles, as well as Sonic Jam. I know I said CD earlier, there is no CD game in this. And yeah, it basically has all the music and sound effects from those games. And the two Sonic Jam sounds are pretty good. The rest of them I'd never heard before in my life, but the main music you'll hear in the Sonic Jam, the two ones you'll hear over and over again in the next collection, because they like those songs quite a lot. The next building you'll find in Sonic World is the movie theater, which actually has some pretty cool stuff. It has cool movies, as it says. It has the Sonic CD opening and ending, which isn't that interesting since we've seen that multiple times. There's a lot of other weird stuff on here that we're going to showcase right now. Like, what is Sonic the Hedgehog? Well, it is none other than a trailer for the Sonic OVA, which I actually reviewed already. So go check out that already. I think I'll put a link to it, because in case it might be hard to find. The footage looks like crap on the Sega Saturn, and it's also a trailer for the Japanese version, since the English release didn't come out until 1999. But hey, it's still pretty cool to see. Especially if you're a Sonic fan back in the day, you're like, what the hell is this? This looks really cool. But you had to wait for a couple years in order for it to come out, because it took a while for it to be dubbed in English, and they released it as Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie. You know, it's not really a movie, but it kind of is, so whatever. Another one is the next one, called Sonic the Animation, which is a very weird thing. It's a short film called Sonic Man of the Year, where it's really hard to describe. In a CGI environment, Sonic lives here, which actually kind of reminds me of Station Square. Eggman, who's on his own island, is fucking pissed off as a lot, because Sonic got voted Man of the Year, even though he's not even a man, he's a hedgehog. So Eggman decides he's going to ruin Sonic's reputation. While Sonic's running around the pre-rendered city, Eggman dresses up as Sonic with rocket shoes and basically makes him look bad by knocking people over and ruining other people's days. And yeah, it's pretty stupid, but the animation looks good even for the crappy quality of the Sega Saturn. The end of the animation, everyone hates Sonic because of what Eggman does, and Sonic's like, what the heck? I didn't do jack shit, and Eggman laughs like a jackass, and that's the end. It says, to be continued. I don't think it ever got continued. The next movie is called Sonic CG Image, unpublished, and that is because it wasn't unpublished. This is called Sonic Ride, a weird CGI animated short that was going to be used for a amusement-style ride at an arcade thing. I'm not sure if you've ever been to these. They're like Chuck E. Cheese or something like that, where like you go on like this little arcade machine that kind of like moves you around a little bit. That's what this was going to be, but it ended up getting canceled. It looks really weird and has a lot of the early crappy CGI stuff that I love. I mean, I love this pre-rendered crap. Look at this thing. Look at how bad Sonic looks, but it's you kind of love it at the same time. It's very weird and uncanny, but I love it. Most of it is rendered in an actual environment, like Sonic floating through the air here. He's supposed to be running, and then the end has there's no environment, as a weird-looking Eggman out of a bowling alley. So it looks like he's out of a bowling alley. Decides he's going to drop a weight on Sonic, but he fails miserably because he's idiot, I guess, and it falls on him, Wile E. Coyote style. Amazing. It is cool we got some like these things that we probably ever see before, but nowadays you can find those easily on the internet. But it was cool at the time. And also we get like some commercials that I've showcased some of them in the videos already, so don't need to go for them. But it's cool we get commercials, and pretty much all of them are for Japan though, so nothing too out of the ordinary. Like I said, you can find those on YouTube. But at the time, it was pretty cool just to get these on an actual disc. And that's really all Sonic Jam has to offer. Like I said, it does have the main games, which are actually built from the ground up. They play normally, they have a difficulties modes, and the game can crash on you like this, which is lovely. That's what happens if you play on a Saturn emulator. Though it looks like it'll load up again. Sonic Jam is definitely that transition game in between the classic and modern era. We've got the beta of what Sonic Adventure is going to be in the gameplay here. as well as the classic games reprinted on the Sega Saturn. They played pretty good actually. I could get them to play it, but from what I understand, they should play pretty good. They're built from ground up, so Sonic 1 plays a little better. But overall, every time I try to play them, the game glitched out, and I didn't like. I guess the thing crashed where I can get footage of it. Not that it really matters since you're mostly just playing the classic games. The Sonic 1 has a spin dash added, and there's added difficulties which change the layout a little bit. But overall, it's nothing too big to really talk about. And a little hint in these in this Sonic World 2 that gives you like, okay, use this code on one of the Sonic games and you get this. And that's all cool and all that stuff. I quite like Sonic Jam. It's pretty cool. I would like to own an actual copy so I can actually play it. It's one of those games I always found was elusive because, like I said, I never had Sega Saturn, and when I did get Sega Saturn like a couple of years ago, I haven't found a single Sonic game. Like I found one at one time, but it was like $200. I'm not made out of money. I'm fucking broke as shit. I would love to have this game to actually give a full feel what it would be like if Sonic was actually in the fifth generation of gaming. Unfortunately, for those Sega Saturn fans, it's the most we're gonna get from Sonic. Well, Sonic R is pretty cool, and the Sonic Game World is awesome, and of course you get the classic games on Saturn. It still wasn't that full-fledged 3D Sonic game that we're looking for. Not even a full-fledged 2D Sonic game for that matter. So yeah, Sonic's going to 3D, and we're very close to Sonic Adventure. Unfortunately, we got one more game to go in between them, and I couldn't get it to work, but I'm going to showcase it in the next video.